Good morning and welcome to Purpose-Driven Finances, where our focus is helping you use your finances to achieve the purpose and plan for your life. And now here's the host of Purpose-Driven Finances, Allan Molina with Serwus Capital Management.
Hey, good morning, Lynchburg. This is Allan Molina, your host of Purpose-Driven Finances and President Serwus Capital Management. Hope you're having a great Saturday, great weekend. I know I'm going to enjoy some antique shopping. I'm going to ask Rich to go along with me. And it's going to be exciting, Rich. You want to go?
You know, this may be the one weekend where that would actually be preferable to what I've got planned.
Hey, come on over, man. You know, get a good deal and get your wife something, you know, and just say, honey, I was thinking of you.
Antique shopping or a whole weekend of mulching?
Yes, sir.
Push.
You know what we need to do? Talk to Kubota of Lynchburg and say, hey, Rich would like to borrow a little tractor with a front end loader. That would make life easier.
It would.
I tell you, I have a tractor. I pick up the mulch. Boom, it's done. So, and get your.
I guess I need a tractor.
Yeah, you know, if Kubota's listening, give Rich a call.
Right. Not only loan it to me, but deliver it to me too.
Well, you know, they're a great service. They're a great company with a great service.
I know.
But Rich, thank you for being a co-host, and we have an exciting show today. Today we're going to talk to first, 8-10 minutes about what's happening in the markets and how it's affecting our clients, and then we have a legendary guest for the last 20 minutes. He is Rich Gilman, the law dog. And so looking forward to chatting with him about estate planning, because folks, sadly, there's going to be a time and a place to where you're no longer with us, and you have got to do an estate plan. You know, I'm just real, man. Rich, I'm real. You know, no one wants to face it. You know. But there's and so what happens with estate planning, as a financial advisor, I stress to all clients, we need to get this done. And people don't want to get it done. You know why? They admit that one day they're not going to be here. And just be real, man. Just get it done. And it makes life so much easier for the family and things such as that. But Rich, I want to kick off, talk about portfolio management first. Thursday night, I was sitting with my wife, just hanging out on the sofa, and I was going through Twitter, and things were happening. Israel was attacking Iran. Mainstream media had no idea what was going on. They were talking about the fifth juror in the Trump trial, and I was watching it, and I got to follow some folks in Iran, and they were communicating about it, and they were saying this and that. And oil was up 4% in the middle of the night. It ended up, at the end of the night, beginning of the morning, it was actually down 0.5%. That being said, it's been a very crazy market, and you can't time everything on a day-to-day basis. But Rich, I have two ways I manage money: Dynamic Asset Allocation, the QPM, and at your encouragement, it makes me unique because I'm not a set it and forget it type of financial advisor, helping people achieve the purpose and plan for their life. So, Rich, what I did is I brought two things from Dynamic Asset Allocation. We'll talk about QPM in a minute. This is from 328. And you see all that green, Rich?
A lot of green. Green means go.
And this is 419.
So in less than a month, a majority of the different categories of stocks and have gone from buy to sell.
Exactly. And so, I do that on a daily basis, and I track it. I don't try to make daily changes, but on a little bit longer term, because realistically, when things change, I tell clients the best thing to do is to get, if the train's coming down the tracks, what do? You get off the tracks. And so it's enabled us, like on 328, these are my notes. I said U.S. tech is losing momentum. And if you look at AMD, if you look at NVIDIA, Netflix, they are getting hammered. It is just, they're getting smoked. And if you look at bonds, they were going up a little bit back then, but now bonds are getting hit hard. And so what it's enabled, so before the show, I was wondering, Middle of the month, how's it going? How's the 50-50 portfolio going? 50% stock, 50% bonds. You take the index, and it's down about 3.5%. That's not a lot. I mean, it's not a lot. I was comparing it to a 50-50 portfolio. That's only down 2.5%, which is, 1%. I mean, realistically, that's a 50% difference. When you look at 3.5%, that's not very much. But what happens if this downturn turns, instead of being down, the S&P 500 right now being down 3% just in a week, but in 3 weeks it's down almost 6%? What happens if that turns into a 10 or a 15% correction, which is normal? And then, because the goal with the Dynamic Asset Allocation and the QPM is trying to skip the big downturns. And, we adjust portfolios simply because, I don't like to say, let's set it and forget it. And then the QPM, what's exciting is it told us to go short all asset classes, including bonds. And what's been interesting is we basically used the 20 to 30-year bond. Just in the past month, it's down almost 6%. And so we've been able to short that and make money as the bonds went down. On the S&P 500, on the NASDAQ, the Dow, mid caps, small caps, and you ever heard of Kathy Woods?
Mm-mm.
She has a huge mutual fund. It's basically ARK, ARKK.
Okay.
The nice thing is you can either short it and go long it. Very beneficial. We've been able to go short all of those. And looking forward to selling and going to cash, because I figure the market's going to turn some point. But the biggest move of the past month it's been twofold. One, the Israeli-Iran thing going on.
Of course.
But then number two, the markets have realized that it's going to be higher for longer, interest rates, and inflation is not coming down. And so the markets are realizing that, hey, we're in a little bit of a pickle. So, folks, I didn't give you my phone number. It's 434-316-0246, or go to my website, servuscm.com. And what I thought we'd do next is just talk to Rich Gilman and go into estate planning. And if you want somebody to actually manage your portfolio, not just be an asset gatherer, give me a call and let me help you achieve your goals and your dreams. Rich, thanks for Rich.
Dude, this is really cool because, you see it on TV all the time, the crossover events.
Mm-hmm.
Where like two different shows wind up coming to that's what we got here. It's a crossover event.
Exactly.
This is historic.
Yes. It's kind of like the Jets winning the Super Bowl.
All right.
Wow.
It's just so unnecessary.
It was nice seeing you guys.
It was so unnecessary.
Sorry, Rich.
It was such a cheap shot.
That was a cheap shot.
It was.
That was cheap. Or the Pittsburgh Steelers having a good quarterback room. But Rich, when is your show on? I have no idea.
I am right after you.
Okay, good.
I am on in another 10, 15 minutes?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Rich,
I'm forced to listen to his show, Rich. And then he just goes,
he
out walks out and that's the last time we see him.
Yeah, it's just, Rich, I am bad with time and schedules because I pre-record mine and, it's done. Because my wife has so many things we get to do on Saturday morning.
Like antique shopping.
Wait, now, Julie drags me and forces me to go to consignment shops, antique shops. So, yeah, I understand this, but it sounds like you enjoy it. So
I do. The reason being is, I can't stand the thing, happy wife, happy life. But, she puts up with me going to pool tournaments because, Rich, I won.
I know. You told me.
Yeah, I won. I can't believe it.
You told me. Now, does she go?
She went to it to see me in the finals.
Right.
Like every other Saturday, I go to a big tournament somewhere, and she goes and watches. So I figured it's tit for tat, Let's enjoy two things.
I didn't know this about you, Allan.
Yep, I used to be a shark.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't, listeners probably would be excited, but we need to deal with estate planning.
Yeah.
And Rich, I have no idea how much time we have left, so you have to be the.
I'll keep you posted.
Thank you, my friend.
I'll keep you posted, but we're right at 10 minutes, so we've got about 20 minutes left.
Oh, good. That makes my life easy.
Plenty of time for Rich Gilman.
Hey, that's good.
The law dog.
Yeah. All right. What do you want to know?
Well, how do people contact you to get their estate plan done?
They call Day Law Group. And the number is 434-528-8877. And we're located just around the corner from the studio here over in Forest.
Right. Do you have any other offices besides the one in Forest?
We do have one in Bedford, but it's actually it's more for real estate closings than anything else.
Exactly.
But I'll be happy to drive down there to meet a client.
Yeah, because I was driving around. I thought I saw that somewhere else. That's good. So when it comes to estate planning, what do you do regarding estate planning?
I wait for a client to show up.
Okay, that's good. That's the first thing. And you don't want any clients who have already passed. So
right. Yeah.
That
although
makes it
I'm not so sure that some of them haven't by the time they get to me.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, they come in. And most of I don't know how other attorneys do this, but I don't charge my clients when we come in and they talk to me about their estate planning.
That's good.
Yeah, it gives them the freedom to discuss about things. They're not looking at the clock. And now other lawyers may do that just kind of as a warning, but I only charge if I'm generating documents or doing something for you.
That's really good. And personally, I do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Consultations are free. Don't use me and abuse me.
Right.
Or at least tell me that you are.
Right.
You know? But I think that's a great way to serve people and earn their business.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So when it comes to estate planning, do you take care of all forms of estate planning, everything from, a $10 million net worth all the way down to a Medicaid trust?
We do. There are a number of vehicles out there that we can help with. A larger, more complicated situations for people. We're working with CPAs. We're working with financial planners. I get referral from some financial planners and CPAs. Most of the people that come into my office are not necessarily. They've got a small nest egg. They're looking towards retirement. They're just wanting a will, and that I can do that. But I do have a lot. If you've got businesses, if you've got a lot of children, if you're divorced and have children from other marriages, that's where you need to be doing the estate planning.
Exactly, and because as a financial advisor, financial planning comes easy to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it's really just math.
Yeah.
And the math really doesn't change. But where the nuances come into place is, hey, what about insurance planning around your car? I don't sell car insurance, but I know enough about it and the questions to ask and who to get information from. I used to do estate planning at the university, and I worked in that department, so I learned estate planning. I know estate planning. And I often get asked, Allan, will you do the documents? I'm saying no, because I don't want to practice law without a license. But also, I don't want the legal ramifications.
Mm-hmm.
And because laws change on a regular basis. And so I really appreciate you taking the time, Rich, to be on the show and talk about this. Now, do you see any trends in estate planning, or things changing, or what are you seeing among people?
Well, it depends. I think that about a decade, two ago, the trend was it was kind of a faddish type thing, is everybody had to have a trust. And people do come into my office, and to be honest, people who have never done that, unless you've got some special issues around your estate planning, I don't always recommend a trust. And sometimes I don't even recommend a will if they do come in. But the trend is that the trusts have not necessarily gone away, but they're not as trendy. Not everybody wants one. The bad part is 20 years ago, 15 years ago, when people would have a trust, they'd spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for this binder full of paper. And where I get into it with them is they come in and they go, here this is. I have no idea. It's overly complicated. And how do I use this? And I say, usually, for most people, pitch it out. If you haven't used it at all, pitch it out the window. If you need a trust, we'll build something new and go from there. So, but for a lot of people, I see they don't necessarily need trust.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just real quick question. You said that sometimes you don't recommend trust, sometimes you don't recommend wills. People need to have something, though, right? One or the other?
Not necessarily. There are, within estate planning, one of the coolest things that has happened over the last decade is transfer on death beneficiaries. For example, bank accounts, investments, and now for several years now, you can even do a transfer on death deed of a house or a piece of property. So one of the things I look for is if we can avoid the year-long probate process. And the best way to do that for a lot of people is just to make sure that all their investments, all their bank accounts and all that have a transfer on death beneficiary, which is TOD, or you also hear POD, payable on death. But if you then what happens is when we take our last breath, that money under a TOD or POD beneficiary immediately goes to that person you've designated. It doesn't go through probate. It's very simple because for example, if you're with a bank and you're the beneficiary, you provide the bank with a death certificate and they're ready. I mean, the money's practically yours. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but that avoids probate in most situations. If we can get the estate down below $50,000, not including real estate, not including transfer on death beneficiaries, it's very simple. You just have to go down to the courthouse, fill out what's called a list of heirs and a small stated affidavit, and you're done.
Wow.
So how does it happen if, like, I'll give you an example. My mom, I got her to do a trust just because I'm in the family and, things like that. I didn't want to deal with all the headache of, her husband was dead. So, but she had like $200,000 worth of medical bills.
Mm-hmm.
What happens in that case if everything's TOD?
In that situation, I believe that in most situations the TOD is going to take those, and you're not going through probate. Probate's really the reason you go through a year-long process of probate, and it requires documentation. You pay a commissioner of accounts, which is a greedy lawyer like all lawyers, who gets a certain percentage. It's a small percentage, but of the estate, just to make sure that the numbers are balanced at the end. But the reason we keep probate open is because we are wanting to protect creditors so that they have the year after your death to make any claims, and that's why that process is a year long. But if all of a sudden that money, Allan, you die, and you've got in your investment $200,000, and it goes to Aunt Matilda, then Aunt Matilda gets it.
Well, good. See, that's something I didn't know.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah.
It makes life a whole lot easier.
Yeah,
and well, that's good. So, who would you suggest getting a trust?
For example, if you have a person that you're concerned about who has special needs, maybe a disability, there are special trusts that we can structure. If you're trying to avoid probate, which a lot of folks that come into my office are very concerned about not having to go through that year-long process, you can set up that trust to kind of protect those interests. If you have businesses, if you have money that, for example, you have heirs that you want to dole out the money slowly. For example, $25 a month, which hopefully that's not what you're doing, but then a trust is perfect. A will cannot really do that well.
Young kids, right? I mean,
potentially
you don't want them to get the money when they're
correct.
It's like I want to wait till they're 25, or they get part of it at 25, part of it, something like that.
Yeah, and that's exactly why it is. A lot of people, and this is my personal thinking, is a kid should never get anything until they're 26 years old. It can an estate can actually pay out for education, maintenance, support, those sort of things. But giving them a lump sum, they buy a Mustang and spend it all on some girlfriend or boyfriend, and it's all gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because generally it's been proven, through studies that once someone gets a large sum of money within 5 years, it's all gone.
Yeah.
Whether it's somebody who's in their 30s or someone who's in their 70s. It's amazing how quickly it goes.
Yeah.
What do you see as the greatest need in estate planning?
Frankly, a surety. Two things. And again, this is probably not what we're looking for, but you have people want to be assured. They don't want to necessarily think about it much.
Right.
I mean, you don't want a client that's in your office going every 2 days going, okay, let's change this, let's change that.
Right.
You want a plan that works for them, that's flexible and that sort of thing. The other thing is, what do you want to leave behind for your heirs? Do you want to leave a mess, which a lot of people do? So it gives kind of a finality to people where they don't have to worry about it. But for the most part, there are some situations. Again, for example, if you are in your second, third, or fourth marriage and you have children from outside the current relationship, estate planning is absolutely necessary because what's going to happen, and it drives my wife crazy, but if my stepwife is there and there's a couple kids from a previous relationship, my kids are going to get 2/3. My wife is going to get 1/3 if I don't have a will in place.
Right. Exactly.
So it creates you can get some wonky type of results if you're not paying attention.
In that explosive situation of previous wife and kids, is there a better? I know I've been told that there's a better compared to a simple will and RLT or a revocable living trust.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a better one in your mind?
It's going to be what a person wants,
right.
but a revocable living trust is something that has a whole lot more flexibility overall than a will does. A will says, okay, who's going to take care of your estate after you're gone, and where does your estate go? I mean, ultimately, that's it. So where a trust can actually say, look, I want Junior to get $15,000 a year. My other daughter to get this amount. I want to protect my family's businesses, things of that sort. It gives a whole lot of flexibility how you want to do it. Some people who want to just avoid probate throw everything in there, and upon their death, it's distributed to them. A will, again, is going to have to go through probate, year-long process. It's a lot of headache for a lot of people. So I like trusts, but not everyone.
Not everybody needs one. What about contestability?
As far as
the two compared, is it? I've been told that. I'm glad I'm talking to you, the expert, that a trust is much harder to contest than a will is.
It can be. I'll tell you one of the things I do, and the courts are still upholding them. I don't know that they really like them much, but interim clauses in both the will and the trust that basically says, listen, if you contest it, there's several ways to write it, but if you contest this will and you're a beneficiary under, you're going to be treated as though you predeceased me. You died before me.
Oh, wow.
So they probably aren't going to get anything.
Mm-hmm.
The courts are still supporting that. But you can do that with wills and trusts. That's one safeguard. I don't just do it much, but sometimes when you have, people know what's going. Yeah. Heirs that are going to take something. But a trust is a little bit safer in protecting an interest. Now, one of the things that people don't understand is, again, around long-term care. I don't know how much you come across that, but a trust will not protect long-term care.
Right.
And, that's there's ways of doing it, but then it takes all control out of the person's hands.
Right, because you basically have to do an irrevocable trust,
right?
A Medicaid trust, and yeah, exactly.
So I don't recommend that too often.
Right. What I know the difference, but I want you to tell people, what's the difference between irrevocable and revocable?
Well, a revocable just means that you can cancel it, you can mend it, you can change it all up until the time you die, usually how I write them, so that when you die, it then becomes irrevocable. But irrevocable means that it's taking control out of the person who's creating it and giving it to someone else. This does give you some protection against long-term care and some other issues, but it's not necessarily a great way to handle, if you're putting your house in there and then you need to move, do something like that, it's a whole hassle.
Yeah, exactly. What suggestions do you have for the listeners?
Well, I think that when you are looking towards this, and anytime you have a life change, or if you've never done this before, you should be thinking about estate planning. This morning, if you're listening to this, you should be thinking about it. But you need to talk to your insurance guy, your financial planner, perhaps your CPA and your lawyer to get everything pulled together, and that you can create a nice little package that makes it very easy if you die or something happens that you become ill, that everything can work together. But those are your four key components to get in touch with and make sure that everything is correct.
Exactly, and that's what I try to do. I look at myself as a coach who has, a wide receivers coach, a offensive line coach, a defensive coach, and say, hey, we're going to work together with all of these parts in order to achieve the purpose and plan for your life. That way, Rich takes care of your estate plan, your CPAs, we got all that taken care of. But what I find is a lot of times people going through the process, they're not accustomed to it and it gets arduous. But the biggest thing is spread it over a year and get everything taken care of. And that way people can really get things done. Now, let's go. Is there any stories that you can share that people will laugh at or go, oh my, that, let's lighten it up a little bit?
Well, I'll tell you.
Cry over.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's some. I've, as a lawyer, and you as a financial planner, have probably come across situations that are both tragic and quite funny. Mm-hmm. I will tell you, if you do come in for estate planning, the one thing I ask you is, do you have problems talking about your death? And most people say no. And I said, the reason is I'm going to kill you off multiple times during today. And that's where it should be. Not you're making fun of a very serious issue, and it puts most people at ease. But there are the tragic part is I've seen where towards the end of the life, a child, stepmother and stepfather have been together 14, 15 years, and the father is getting ill, and one of the siblings comes in, and behind the stepmother is moving everything around, so that at the end of the day, her husband dies, and then she finds that she has nothing.
Yeah,
that's tragic.
It is.
So, but yeah,
I have a story. I'm not going to say names because it happens in Lynchburg, and if I gave you names, you could easily figure it out. There was a person. It was a son whose dad was going up the river, up to jail. And he called me and he says, hey, my dad has some retirement accounts. He got busted for dealing cocaine. Can you help hide it for me? And I was like, I'm going to call the custodian, Charles Schwab. I knew the answer was no, because I'm not into that. Mm-hmm. But have you ever dealt with somebody who's like, hey, we need to hide and protect, or, those nefarious things?
Yes, I have a few clients that have come in who have had some interesting scenarios that they wanted to run by, and you can't take it.
You can't. Yeah. But folks, this is Allan Molina, your host of Purpose Driven Finances. Rich, thank you so much for being on here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's helped me, but I know it's helped our listeners. And Rich, again, what's that phone number?
434-528-8877.
Hey, now you need to give Rich a call this week. Let's get this estate planning done. And if you're like, Allan, I don't know all the pieces, well, give me a call and I'll get in touch with Rich and we'll do it all together. My phone number is 434-316-0246. Next week, we're going to have Paul Witten from Witten Funeral Homes coming in, and it's going to be an exciting subject and to help you take care of business.
You stay tuned.
Stay tuned to Rich.
Yeah,
and the Law Dog.
You got put up with another 30 minutes of me.
Hey, have a great weekend, everybody.
Returns for illustrative purpose. This is not a suggestion to buy, sell, or use a platform. Only will a suggestion occur after a meeting to determine goals, risk tolerance, and time horizons. Investments involve risks and no guarantee of future results.